Welcome to today's webinar, where I'm going to show you the new version of Men&Mice Suite, version 6.5. Now this is the agenda for today. First, I'm going to show you how easy it is to upgrade to version 6.5 from a previous version. Then I'm going to show you the new OpenStack integration, move on to high availability of the Men&Mice Suite, and then if we have time, we're going to take some questions and answers. So first, upgrade to 6.5. I have a test environment here where I'm running an older version of Men&Mice. And when I launch the console and connect to my environment, I get information that a new update is available for download. Any member of the admin group in Men&Mice will get this notification when a new version of Men&Mice is available. So I hit the details button here and I can see which version of Men&Mice I can upgrade to from this version I'm running now. So I can upgrade to 6.4.5.102 or 6.5.0.100. So this is a new version of Men&Mice and it already has been downloaded to my machine. So next steps for me to upgrade is simply to select the version I want to update to or upgrade to and press the Start Update button. Before we upgrade to Men&Mice, and it's a very good practice always to make a backup of the Men&Mice Suite database. So I've already done that. So I just check the box here. I'm ready to start the update and start the update process. What happens now is that Men&Mice Central will start to send new versions of the Men&Mice binaries to all the managed servers, and it will also update itself. And I need to stop my console and log in again, and then it will upgrade my console to the new version. So just a quick overview of the upgrade process. When periodically, Men&Mice Central will connect to update.menamice.com and to get information about new versions. So it's important that the central machine is available, is able to connect to the internet or port 80 to the update.menamice.com. Else you would not get the notification from within the system that a new version is available. But you always get notifications from our sales team when a new version is released. So Men&Mice Central will connect to update.menamice.com and get information about the new version. When a member of the admin team connects to Men&Mice, he will get a notification that a new version has been released, and he can press the details button to see which versions are available. And like I showed you before, and the same dialog box appeared in my environment, you get a list of the available updates, and you can download them and start the update from within the application itself. So now my machine has been, my test environment has been hopefully upgraded to the latest version. So I'm going to start my console. I'm still running the old console here. But when I connect to Men&Mice, it says there's a new version of Men&Mice available. Would you like to upgrade my console on my machine? So I press the yes button here. The installer is downloaded. And the installer is run. It's a simple matter of just next, finish. And now I see here that I'm running the new version of Men&Mice. I don't get a notification or anything like that, since there is no new version available to upgrade to from this version. I do, however, see that my appliance here is running an older version of the Men&Mice. So Men&Mice will automatically update all the managed servers, so a Microsoft server, a Unix server, both DHCP and DNS, but it will not automatically upgrade the appliances, the Men&Mice appliances. The reason being that in some cases it might require a service restart, so restart of the DNS or DHCP service on the appliances, and you would not want to upgrade them all at the same time. You would not want to restart the DNS or DHCP service on all your DNS and DHCP servers at the same time. So that's why you can go into Tools and Update Status, and from within here you can select individual appliances and upgrade them. So here I have only one appliance in my environment, and I can just select that here in the column here and update my appliance. So now the appliance will go offline for a couple of seconds. So now it's an upgrade in progress. It's going to be offline next, and then hopefully it will come up as an up-to-date appliance within a couple of seconds. So we're going to give it a couple of seconds, update in progress, and my next status here might be offline or up to date, depending on how fast the machine is in upgrading. So this is a virtual appliance I'm running on my laptop, so it might take a slightly longer time than if it was running on a big VM host. So I can see in the console here on my appliance that it's running the latest version of Men&Mice. It's version 6.5. It's still update in progress here in the update status window. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds, and hopefully it will become up to date. And now we can see it's up to date and operational. It actually was operational before this message came up, but now Men&Mice has detected that all the servers in the environment are up to date. It still is listed as wrong version here, but the simple reconnect will establish a connection to the DNS server, and now I can start to manage my DNS and DHCP servers with the latest version of Men&Mice. The next features I'm going to show you is the new OpenStack integration. So for the OpenStack integration, you only need to go into the system settings, click on the IPAM, and enable cloud integration. And then you have the new icon here, clouds, and you can add your clouds. We are starting with OpenStack because we have some of our larger enterprise customers are using OpenStack for their virtual environments. And within OpenStack, you can define networks, you can define subnets. And for them, it's really difficult because you have different groups managing their private clouds and also maybe the public clouds within the organization. And you have different groups managing them, and there's no way to see which subnets and networks have been created in each cloud. So in Men&Mice, going back to the slideshow here, we support any number of OpenStack clouds. So you can have different clouds, add them, and they have their own access and custom properties. So you can say within Men&Mice, okay, I'm creating a new or adding a new OpenStack cloud, and this group owns the cloud, and they can add networks and subnets to the networks. And then the networks within OpenStack, they have also their access bits and custom properties, and network subnets have the same properties as the regular subnets in Men&Mice. And this will be, when I demo it for you, you see how easy it is to create new networks and subnets in Men&Mice. The key thing with the OpenStack integration is the same as with our other integrations with other systems, that we are not authoritative. We are good citizens in these environments. So changes done outside of Men&Mice will be reflected in the tool, and we will do a synchronization, a periodical synchronization with the clouds. And if there's a new network created on the clouds, or a new subnet is created in the clouds, you will see them in Men&Mice. And the OpenStack integration can be managed through our SOAP API. So this means that it's really easy for customers to use retrieve information from these clouds and to get the overview that is pretty much needed with them. So I'm going to connect to my OpenStack instance here. So it is there's nothing needed on the OpenStack side to connect to Men&Mice. So here I just add the username. In this case, it's the admin for the cloud. It can be any other user that is allowed to retrieve information from the cloud, and my password, and whether I'm using HTTPS. Hit the add button. and the cloud appears here in Men&Mice. So if I expand the clouds and expand the new OpenStack cloud I just added, I can see there are 3 networks in the cloud that have been created in the cloud, and I can see which subnets are associated with each cloud. I'm going to add another cloud here. So now we have these 2 clouds. For the cloud, I can also add the custom properties. So I go into define custom properties, scroll down here and say, okay, a cloud should have a custom property called owner, because my organization has multiple teams with their own clouds. And cloud network should also have a purpose. So now we see for a cloud here that there is an owner field here. I can right click on the cloud, get properties, and say this is owned by the production, and so on and so forth. In addition to this, like I said before, you also have the ability to manage access for the clouds. So you can take this cloud here and say which teams are allowed to edit the properties and create networks in the clouds. And then for individual networks, you can also specify who can create subnets within the, or associate subnets to the cloud, to the network. In addition to this, when you create a new subnet in Men&Mice and associate with a cloud or a network, which I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go here and create a new subnet. So this is my when I create it, it's associated with the network I had selected when I was creating the subnet, and I can specify whether to use all the IPs in the cloud, in the network should be, in the subnet, whether they should all be available for dynamic allocation or individual IPs. You can list IPs, like a range of IPs or individual IPs that are allowed, that are in the pool. So when you fire up a virtual machine or a new node in this OpenStack instance, and you assign it to this subnet, it will get a lease, a DHV lease from this from the available IPs. So now it has my cloud has been updated with this information, and the new subnet has been created in the OpenStack instance. And we don't have a lot of time for the session here. We only allocated like half an hour. So I'm going to move to the next item here, which is the high availability, which is really something that, like I said before, a lot of our customers have been asking for, and we are really proud to show you today how easy it is to configure it and how powerful it really is. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to close this console, and as I'm going to run Men&Mice Central on another instance of Men&Mice Central on this machine, I'm going to close the console, go into services, and stop my currently running Men&Mice Central, and I'm going to put it into high availability mode. So before I do that, I'm going to show you a couple of slides about the high availability. So the high availability requires a SQL server. So if you have your database, if you're storing the database on a SQL server, then you can use the new high availability of Central. It's recommended that you have some sort of mirroring on the SQL server, and there are a number of ways to do that, a number of tools to do the configuration and management of the high availability or mirroring between SQL servers. Then if you have your Men&Mice database in a SQL server, you have the ability to configure the centrals, 1, 2, 3, 4, any number of centrals in a high availability mode. And what they will do, it will send their heartbeat into the database. And determining the heartbeat determines whether they are alive or not. And then, like in this this case here, I have a DNS entry central.company.com with multiple, basically multiple A records round robin. And when you connect using the console or any other connection mechanisms to Men&Mice, whether it's where you have a script or using the web interface, or in this case the management console, you enter the name of the cluster basically. So in this case, centralcompany.com resolves to 2 IP addresses, and the console connects to both IPs, but only one of the Men&Mice centrals is active at any given time. Going back here, so I stopped the Men&Mice central here, and I'm gonna go, and this is the directory that stores the Men&Mice preference file, which says to which database to connect to. So I'm gonna take my existing preference file, which is used just to connect to the local database, and I'm gonna say this is just SQLite, and take my high availability file here, and now it is active. And there is a couple of differences between the regular preference file and the preference file for SQLite, pointing it to my SQL instance and also specifying that it's set up in a high availability mode. Now go back here and I'm going to start central, and now central starts, the server starts, it reads this preference file and we'll establish a connection to my SQL server. So if I go back and open up my management console, I'm not going to connect to this, sorry. It is so I'm going to connect now to the high availability cluster. It's a slightly larger environment than I had before, with a lot of servers and a lot of data. And now I've connected to the high availability setup. To the end user, it really, there is basically no difference. But as I'm logged in as the admin, I can go into tools, and I can go and see this item here, manage high availability, and I can see there are two servers here which are active on the network. I'm connected. This machine here is this one here, the Win 2012 VM, and it's a standby. And I have another machine here on my VM on my laptop, which is the active server. So in this case, the user is connected to this HA central mm.demo, which resolves to 2 IP addresses. The console is connected to both of the IPs and knows about these 2 centrals, but it knows that one of them is active and the other one is standby. If I go here and show you my other machine here, so this here is my active central, and if I stop my active central, what happens now is that obviously this machine here will stop sending its heartbeat into the database. So after a while, my other instance here is monitoring the database. It's registering its heartbeat into the database and checking if the other supposedly active instance is also or still active. And if it detects that the active or previously active instance is no longer active, this one will assume the active role. So if I go into tools here, into the manage high availability, I can see that my other instance that I had before is now in a failed state, and now this one is active. So the user, and I'm still logged into the console, I can go ahead and I can open up any zone or do anything that I want to do. The user doesn't notice anything, so the active role was moved from one central to another. The user didn't notice anything, and scripts or the web interface still they don't see anything or don't experience anything. How long it takes to fail over to the between instances is configurable. So by default, it's 30 seconds. So if the active instance, or sorry, the standby instance sees that the previously active instance has not been live for 30 seconds, it will assume the role of being the active server. But that is something that you can configure. And if you're interested in using the new high availability mode, and I'm sure that many of you are, then you should contact support@men&mice.com for further information on how to configure it. And also, we are willing and able to assist you in the configuration of your high availability setup. So now I've started also my other previously active, or the central, which I shut down. And if I go here to manage high availability, I see that it's now standby. So now it was previously failed, but now it's standby. And I can take a standby server and make it active. So let's say that central is currently running on this server here, and it needs to go down for maintenance. I can select a standby server, set active, and I have a save comment. And now, after a couple of seconds, now the VM2 here is now active, and this one is standby. So it can be shut down, it can be repaired or refurbished or whatever. So this was the high availability. So I'm going to switch back to my slides here, and it's time for, we've got a couple of minutes if you have any questions.
Yeah, we've been getting some questions in, Sigfus. Let's see. First off, can customers upgrade directly from version 6.3.5.1 to 6.5?
Yes, they can. They don't have the fancy update mechanism, but they can download the FAT updated from Men&Mice, which contains all the components, and just run the installer there, and which will update their instance into to the latest version.
Right. Second, is the server status something that can be pulled from monitoring?
The server status, yes. So the server status is all this is registered into our Men&Mice fleet log, and you can configure Men&Mice to send the information into via SNMP to SNMP traps into your monitoring tools. But you can also retrieve this information through the SOAP interface. Excellent. And that applies both to the active servers and also DNS and DHCP server status.
All right, and next question for with regard to the high availability, can the state change be scripted?
Yes, all this is also available through the SOAP. So the functionality we are implementing, the high availability and also the OpenStack integration, all the functionality that you saw in the UI is also available through the SOAP interface.
Now, does the high availability only work for Microsoft SQL?
Yes, currently it only works for the SQL Server because there is no replication between, if you're using the embedded database, there is no replication between the databases, between two central instances. So high availability there wouldn't actually be something that we could accomplish.
With regard to the high availability of Men&Mice Central, does that only work on Windows?
Yes, so Central needs to be running on Windows for it to work. But obviously you can manage with Men&Mice Central running on Windows. You can manage an environment where you have a mixture of Windows servers and Unix servers. But currently, Central needs to be running on Windows.
Okay. And finally, is there any upper limit of the OpenStack instances?
No, no. There are no limits on on that. Not in terms of how many clouds you can add or how many networks in a cloud or subnets in a network. I think the only limit there might be your license to, as in how many subnets or IP devices you can have.
What if the SQL Server fails? How do you point the central servers to the mirror?
So that is there's a connection string in the preferences file for Men&Mice Central that can point to multiple servers. So there's an active server, and then there's a failover peer or failover partner, and you just configure this connection string in a proper way, so it will always talk to the active instance of the SQL. If that active instance fails, then it will go over to the failover partner. So that is something that the Men&Mice services team can assist the customers in configuring.
Great. Also, we got the question, what version of Windows 2008 R2?
What version?
Yeah, I don't know specifically what that's what it's in regard to.
Yeah, I mean, we support basically we support Windows 2003 and up, so 2003, 2008, R2, 2012, R2 as well. So, and this can be running on all of these platforms, the Men&Mice Central.
Okay, so yeah, the question specifically was what version is needed to run Central. So it looks like you've answered.
Yeah, so we would recommend either 2008 R2 or 2012. So in my test, in my demo here, I was running 2012.
All right, looks like we have come up on 31 after the hour. Does anybody have any other questions right now? Of course, you always have the option of emailing us directly as well. I'm Paul T at menandmice.com, and Sigfus is, of course, Sigfus M. So actually, Sigfus, if you wouldn't mind staying on, it looks like there are a couple questions remaining.
Okay.
So if the questioner wants to fire away with those, we can address those. All right. Does Men&Mice support SQL 2012?
Yes.
Very good. And does Men&Mice high availability have SQL always on? If I've got that correct.
So I'm not actually a SQL Server expert, so I think that if we could just take down this customer's name, then we could answer him directly. But as I said, I mean, we are working with usually with our customers or prospects. They have their SQL teams, and we present them with our requirements that we want to install, store Men&Mice Central database on their SQL servers, and we want them to be configured in a high availability mode or mirroring. They usually take care of that, and then we have basically a connection string or connection information that we can connect to. So, and I have to just say, no, sorry, but I don't have the answer here on this.
Okay, so the question was our support of SQL always on. So we'll track that down. That answer?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. And if there are, again, any other questions, feel free to drop us an email, or you can, of course, always email support at menandmice.com as well. And if there aren't any other ones for now, thank you all for your time. And again, the recording will be made available in its abbreviated form, of course, to you shortly. So thank you all for your time. We do appreciate it.